is just a really random story time, but I want to talk about it because I've been wanting to mention it in videos for the longest time because I think it's pretty darn funny, but it just doesn't fit in anywhere. One thing about me is that when I leave my house, weird people find me. And it's always when I'm out exercising, when I'm jogging, and I obviously don't want people to talk to me. I'm sweaty, I got my big earbuds in. Obviously I'm sending out the signals, I'm running away from you. Stop talking to me. I have all these stories that begin with while I was out on a walk, and all my friends have just like kind of all decided I just need to not go anywhere, and I agree. So here's the story about how I ran into the monster from It Follows while out on a nice humble jog. There's nothing in this cup, it just holds my jewelry, but gives me a nice little sophisticated look. So when I was in my tender youth, like 3 years ago, I was 21, I was a part of this internship. This internship had me living in a dorm with 10 other girls, and this incident took place on a Tuesday. One thing about this internship is that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we had to wake up at 6 a.m. and do group workouts together. Tuesday was Taekwondo Day. I did not like Taekwondo Day. Taekwondo Day. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of the Taekwondos. It's just that this was like super mega beginner Taekwondo. It was more like glorified yoga. So I didn't get my exercise itch fulfilled. So once we got done with all of our like internship duties in the afternoon, I got back to the dorm and I was like, I'm gonna go on a jog. Now it was severely encouraged at the dorm to like, when you're gonna go out in the neighborhood, take a buddy with you, because during like 2016 when all the, the clown stuff was happening, there was actually a clown sighting in the neighborhood where the dorms were at. But I never listened to that, no, because I abstain from human interaction. So I go out on my jog. Everything's fantastic. I'm listening to music. I'm listening to, what's that song called? Blow by Kesha. Also, as I'm listening to Kesha, it's also important to know I did not have glasses on at this time. I'm nearsighted, so I don't see people really walking towards me, especially if they kind of like blend in with a tree. And I'm walking down the road, and what I thought was a tree is actually coming towards me. If it's a moving tree, then it's obviously a person. But I see people walking on roads all the time. Heck, I'm one of those people right now walking on a road. But the thing that really was strange was that I'm like walking on the right side of the road, and this person ahead of me is walking like in the dead center of the road, coming towards me. I set off like a little alarm, like, okay. But Kesha's doing her thing, so I just keep going. Then I get closer and closer, and then the strange factor like amps up a little bit. Now my blurry eyes have allowed me to see the lady. Yes, it's a female now. It allows me to see the lady more. Get this description, y'all. Okay, so this woman coming towards me. Super tan, old skin, like wrinkly. But she's also stick thin and taller than me. Her hair is crazy. It's matted gray, but it's also like kind of standing up, like flyaway hair, kind of like she got shocked or something. Her expression is like just neutral, like kind of like a purposeful blank. Like as in she's showing no emotion, but she's like dead honed on me. No smile, nothing. She's wearing, originally I thought it was like a hospital gown, but now I think it was just like a really short nightgown, like it came above her very bony knees. She's walking super slow towards me, and she's got her arms kind of outstretched like this. So I see that coming towards me really slowly. And now at this point, I stop in the middle of the road because I can tell this girl's attention. She wants me. I don't want her, no. And I do like a very quick assessment of her. First, I make sure there's no one behind me, like, oh, distraction by the weird woman in front of me. And then the other thug is going to come up and stab me from behind. No one's behind me, so I'm looking her over, and like she's got no weapons, she's barely wearing clothes. Even though she's taller than me, I weigh more than her, and I know I could, she looks so brittle. I think that's really just like what kept me from not running away. I've also told my friends, because they were always like, Casey, why didn't you just like walk away from the woman? And I'm like, I am basically like a cat. I don't know if my head will fit in a hole unless I put my head into the hole. I don't know if I'm about to die unless I almost die. I apparently also have no survival instincts. I rush towards the danger instead of away from it. And also, I just don't want to be rude. I'm a nice girl. And this lady's still slowly making her way towards me. She looks like she needs help. Because like I said, it looked like she was wearing a hospital gown. And so I made sure she had nothing in her hands, and she's actually in front of me now. And she never stops walking. She just like comes right into me. And I don't think I said a word to her. I'm just like, okay, come at me. I'm so dumb. And so she gets into my bubble and her arms come up and they come around me. And at first, my first thought was, oh, she's trying to rob me. Of course. I had like a drawstring backpack on my back, so I thought she was just trying to get around and undo the zipper and grab my phone. No, she was hugging me. She just wrapped her arms around me in a great big hug, and like her cheek came down softly upon my shoulder. And I'm just like standing there like, one side of my brain is like, what the heck is happening? The other half is like, well, hug her back, dummy. So I take my arms and I hug her back too. Two grown women, one sweaty and dressed like a jogger, one looking like something out of a horror movie, just standing in the middle of the road hugging each other. But sometimes that's what we need, just a hug. So we stand like that for like 5 seconds, just silently hugging each other. She lets go, does a nice little 180, just walks away, and I just watch her go. But now at this time, one of the houses, I can't remember if it was on the left or the right side of the road, but the door burst open and this woman runs out, and she's wearing like orderly scrubs, like a physical therapist. She looks around and she sees, well, first she saw us hugging each other in the road. So then after the lady let go and started walking back towards the house, the nurse lady, she's on the front porch of her house, and she just comes out, she said, thank you so much, talking to me, like, thank you so much for not punching her, I appreciate it. I'm just like, no problem, and I just continue on my merry walk. Never found out anything about that woman, her identity, what she was going through, but I like to think that the hug that we had that day, that little special moment, maybe she needed it, or maybe she sensed that I needed it because I was listening to Kesha. What is my musical taste? I go back to the dorm and I see my RA in the living room and I'm like, hey, so I was just out in the road and this stranger hugged me. I don't think anyone believed me, but to random hugging stranger lady, you're always in my heart. God bless you. That's my favorite one, but I got like one other one. I was out walking this one time, 1 year or 2 years ago, and I'm doing my thing. I'm walking, this was in my old neighborhood, so I had specific like zones in the neighborhood where I would jog and then I would walk, then I'd jog again. So I was in my walking zone, and from the distance, this lady comes up towards me. But I noticed like right off that it doesn't look like she's supposed to be outside because it's super hot outside. It's around noon and she's dressed completely normal, like, you know, jeans, a long sleeve shirt, and I'm wearing like a tank top and shorts. She's walking, well, she's more like she's shuffling, and she's holding her arms like this, like she got hurt. Eventually our paths cross, and well, I didn't hear her at first, I had headphones on, but she talks to me, so I take them out. I'm like, oh, 1 second. Also, COVID was a thing. So she's like trying to shuffle up to me, and I'm like using the headphones as an excuse to like back up a pace, because, you know, 6 feet apart, please. And so I'm like, hey, how are you? How you doing? And like immediately she just like, it's like we were already having a conversation. She just like jumps into it. She's like, I've lost everyone. There's not gonna be a family reunion this year. All my sister, she died from COVID, my aunt, and I had to go get surgery. And she starts like pulling up her pants, and she's showing me like scars from like surgeries. She showed me one like on her arm, and she's just talking and talking. She seemed so out of it, like so discombobulated. But also me, again, not wanting to be rude, I'm just standing there listening to her rambling story that's going off in like 5 different directions, but it's somehow all interconnected. And all this time she is still like trying to shuffle up to me, and still I'm backing away because I want my 6 feet apart, please. Eventually her stories conclude and she ends. So my evaluation of her was that she was really sad and just needed to vent, and I was just a convenient stranger, which is okay. I am here for y'all. If you need a stranger to vent, DM me. I will accept. Spill all the tea. I love it. But this is when my mind went from she's just really sad to there might be something actually wrong with her, because she finishes her story and then she says, well, dear, you have a good jog. Be really careful, because I've heard that there's monkeys in this neighborhood. And I'm like, monkeys? She's like, yeah, some kids up the road said she found some in the trees. You be careful, love. And then she just kept on walking. And I'm just there standing like, the heck. Now, the thing about Florida is that there's entirely a possibility of some wild monkey like being let loose. I've had so many incidents in that neighborhood, especially with dogs. I love dogs. Well, people, they think their dog is the best thing since sliced bananas. They don't put them on a leash, and they refuse to believe that their dog isn't capable of biting anyone. The most infamous of the times is when I was out jogging, and this golden retriever, which is like the friendliest of the dogs, because you know, Air Bud, my childhood hero. Well, this golden retriever was like Air Dud because he was a meanie. He came up growling and he was like trying to like get behind me, I think, to like get at my calves, because that's what I would do. And I felt really bad because I love the doggos, but I love my calves more. So I took out my pepper spray and I sprayed him. Well, I missed him, but the smell was enough to make him run off. But then the wind caught the spray and just pushed it right back into my face. So I pepper sprayed myself. That was not fun. Don't recommend it. Another time in the same neighborhood, I was walking over this little bridge. It was like a bridge to the side of the road where the cars would go across. And this car just pulls up beside me. And I do like a quick little weapons check, like, could I beat you up in a fight? Once I deem these two people in the car to be, you know, non-lethal, I take my earbuds off and they just start like chatting with me. They're like, hey, have you seen our dog? You know, it's a so-and-so breed. She got out of the cage, she ran out of the fence, and we're just driving around looking for her. And I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry, I'll keep a lookout for her and let you know. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. We'll talk to you later, India. Who the heck is India? These people thought I was some whole other woman. So I go back home and I'm like, Mom, do you know anyone named India? She's like, it sounds kind of familiar. So we go on like our neighborhood Facebook group, and we managed to find a girl named India. She looks crazy exactly like me. I'm not special. I really hope that that couple looking for the dog met up with the true India, and they were like, oh, it was so nice seeing you on the bridge this morning. And the real India would be like, what bridge? I hope I tripped them up. Last story. Another time I was out walking. So instead of being like smart and walking out the front door, taking the sidewalk to go out of our subdivision to get onto the main jogging trail, I would go out the back door, cross over this little tiny creek running through our backyard, and just immediately hop onto the main road. This was a mistake because, okay, I have to look up the snake name real quick. Time out. Okay, so it's called a water moccasin, also known as a cottonmouth. But there's also another snake called a copperhead. So my brain takes the copper from copperhead and the cotton from cottonmouth and turns it into coppermouth. But it's a water moccasin. Okay, in this little creek there were a ton of water moccasins. And my mom's like, Casey, don't go that way. You're going to get bitten. And then I'm only going to have one kid. Boo hoo hoo. But I'm like, I will risk the snakes if it means saving 10 minutes on my walk. Curiosity? No. Contempt for the rules nearly killed the Casey. Normally when I'm walking to the creek, I always take the same exact route. Like you could actually see the imprint of my footprints because I always follow the same path to get over the creek. So when I step over the creek and go on my jog, everything was fine. But when I was coming back home, I took the same exact route, following my own footprints. And as I'm about to step over the creek, the little alarm in my head is like, girl, look down. And I look down, and right in the middle of this thin little creek, curled up and looking right at my delicious looking foot, is a water moccasin. I would have been a dead Casey. So then I yeeted myself out of there, took the proper road, went back to the house, and I'm like, hey Dad, there's a big boogie snake outside. So he gets his big gun, the big gun. He's like, we're gonna go snake hunting. Which is funny, because the creek is right outside of a big road. So here's all these cars going by. My dad's just like scouting this little creek with this big gun. We find the water moccasin, but we don't shoot it because again, we're right by a big road. So my dad just like stands in front of it with like his gun, like intimidating it, like, don't you come back here. And it didn't. When I finally got my glasses, I didn't use them. I went out on another walk. I was in a new house, but it was still the same neighborhood where like 80% of the walking drama has happened. happened. And I walk outside my door and immediately I see this stick in the road. I don't know about you, but I like breaking sticks. I like hearing the crack. So I go up to it. I lift my foot and I'm about to snap that stick in half. And then it moves and it curls up and it goes hiss. It's a snake. I used the Lord's name in vain a lot. I took a picture of the snake though. He's cute. And y'all, that's my public servant's announcement for never leaving your home. Weird things happen. If you got some weird stories when you were out in the wild, let me know. I've also got like other story times, like some barista stuff, some stories with the gym I'm currently working with. If you want to know, let me know. I just like telling stories, and you know, you guys get to know me a little bit more besides book junk. Short book update on what I'm reading. I'm reading Better Together by Christine Riccio. This is important to me because my review for her first book, Again But Better, was like the first video on my channel to do really well. Like I think I was like 5 months, maybe 30 subscribers in the booktube. And then I made that video and then it got like over 100 views in like just a day, which was like unheard of in my little channel's history. So doing a review of Better Together feels like it has to be done to honor that glorious video. I'm gonna have a full review coming up for that, following my September wrap up shortly. But until then, stay reading, my friends.